Hey there, it's Dusty with another story for you from Reddit, from AITA. This one is, am I the astronaut for dressing up as Batman for Halloween? I, 34 male, am married to my wife, 34 female, and we have 2 kids together. Every year, my wife's family does a family theme for Halloween that we all dress up as. This year's theme is Barbie, any Barbie movie that there is, and my wife decided we would do Princess Charm School since it was her favorite Barbie movie growing up. I hate this theme and would rather go as something more manly that won't embarrass me right in front of my neighbors and friends. After work one night, I stopped at the store and got myself a Batman costume instead. I let my wife believe I was going as Barbie's love interest from the movie and would arrive later to the party because I was working late, when in reality, I was getting ready to wear the Batman costume. When I arrived at the party, my wife's sisters happened to meet me by the door and got mad at me for wearing this costume. I explained that I didn't like the theme, so I chose my own. At that point, my wife had found us and started yelling about how selfish I was and how this is the one time a year she gets to let loose and have fun with the theme. She told me to leave, and I drove to a friend's house, and I'm spending the night there out of anger. All of her family is blowing up my phone, telling me how selfish I am and calling me every name in the book. I blocked them and told my wife I need a couple of days to cool down. As I thought about it more, I can see how I was being a little selfish and should have stuck with the theme, but I don't think I'm the astronaut for sticking to my own beliefs and having free will in this relationship. Reddit, am I the astronaut? Okay, let's talk about this for a second, huh? Let's talk about this. Angel with the $5 super says, NTA, always be yourself unless you can be Batman, then always be Batman. You know, there are some differing opinions here. And like we normally see, I think this really comes down to communication, right? If OP had been like, you know what, babe, I really don't like this theme. I really feel like I'm going to be embarrassed wearing that crap, and I would much rather wear something like a Batman costume. Which, what dude doesn't want like the ultra realistic Batman costume, an Iron Man costume, and all those things, right? Like, what dude doesn't want to be one of those guys? However, keeping it a secret means you knew what was wrong. You showed up. I don't know what kind of reaction you expected to happen here, but it's the reaction that you knew you were going to get. You knew she was going to be pissed. That's why you didn't tell her and just showed up anyway. I think that's a come what may decision, right? You went against the grain. That's not the problem. The problem, not sticking to the theme, I don't have an issue with, so long as you communicate that ahead of time and you don't try to surprise your partner here. Now, at the end of the day, who gives a candy corn shit what costume you're going to wear to this party, right? Is it not going to be enjoyable for her because you're not dressed as Ken? Is it just she's not going to be able to enjoy herself at all because you're Batman? I mean, the validity of her desire for you to stay on theme is irrelevant here because the issue is communication. And you knew this was wrong. That's why you didn't communicate it. And now, like, you needed a couple days to cool off. Now, I do not agree with her family jumping in and being like, you're such a selfish asshole just because you didn't stick with the theme. Who fucking cares? They do. It matters a lot to them. I don't think them jumping in is right. I think they're assholes for that. But I think you brought this on yourself. And again, I don't care that you wore Batman. I don't care that you didn't go with the theme. The fact that you didn't communicate this with your partner ahead of time because you knew it was wrong and surprised her with it prompted the reaction that you knew you were going to get. So you knowingly stepped in a shit pile here, which means, yeah, you're an asshole. I don't think wanting to not stay on theme is the problem at all. I don't think you're an asshole for that. I think you're an asshole for not communicating this, which means the severity of it is greatly decreased. Right? I don't think you're evil for this. I understand where you're coming from, but had you communicated it ahead of time, it wouldn't have been an issue at all. She might have said, okay, then just don't come to this. You can wear your Batman costume and go hang out with your friends or whatever. Whatever. But that's not what you did. You chose not to communicate it. So I'm probably going a little soft on OP here, and I'm going 3 because you should have done this differently. You should have communicated it ahead of time. Not saying you shouldn't have worn it, but you should have communicated it ahead of time. David Meredith dropping the $5 super. 1 month in as a Thunder Crew member, said made 1 month in the Thunder Crew over the weekend, and this sounds like ESH. You know what? You're absolutely right. And why do I always forget about this? I'm sticking with 3 for him, but yes, you are correct. This is an ESH because everybody sucks at your family included. Everybody Everybody acted like some kind of asshole here. Mercy dropping the $5 super on the YouTube side as well. I would actually like Candy Thunder feedback on this one. Would you mind jumping up and chiming in on this, Candy Thunder? I think having the hubby wife perspective on this would be good. Am I going too soft on OP? Is he NTA? What do you think? Candy Thunder, a.k.a. Charlie. For those who weren't here whenever she got unlocked earlier, here she be.
So I feel, one, here's what I do know. If I asked you to dress up basically as anything, you'd be like, sure, let's do it. And you wouldn't hesitate. But if I asked you to dress up as something that was important to me because it was meaningful, like childhood thing, you wouldn't hesitate. And you wouldn't pull this shit. Like,
true.
How hard is it just to say, like, hey, that makes me uncomfortable. That's not something I really want to wear. And somebody in chat said, Batman costume with a Barbie logo. You stick with the theme and you get what you want. But if you had communicated to your wife and said, this costume makes me uncomfortable, I don't want to do this, which you have that right to say, nobody would be an asshole. But because you hid it and showed up to a party and just ambushed your wife with something completely the opposite of what she thought, you made everybody into an asshole, right? And her family is on a whole nother level here with I don't understand the family jumping in when it's a husband and wife issue. Like, that's just weird to me, which...
Well, I'm sure she got them all fired up.
Oh, for sure. But I think that knocks her into asshole territory.
I'm sorry, everybody. He showed up as Ken. We can't do the picture like we planned. Batman.
Here we go.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
I just don't understand why he couldn't just speak up and say, I don't want to do this. Like, if you really felt so uncomfortable in something, you wouldn't do it. And I wouldn't want you to do something that made you uncomfortable. But this is so stupid. It's like, just speak up and say what you mean. And then don't show up in a random Batman costume. Like, is this like if this is what you're fighting about and this is what you're spending days apart about, there's so much bigger shit in the world right now. Like, there's so much other shit that you could be fighting about.
Well, maybe this is just symbolic for something bigger in their relationship too. I mean, if this is an issue, maybe he feels emasculated in general because that was kind of his issue with the whole thing. But yeah, him choosing not to communicate, it means, in my eyes, that he knew it was wrong,
right? And
just turned this whole thing into a shit show. But yeah, just communicate it. But so many people in relationships don't communicate this kind of thing, and there's so much benefit to just being like, hey, here's how I really feel about this. I know you're not going to like it, but I need to let you know. I got to let you know how I feel so that you understand where I'm coming from. And even if I go through with this and do this for you, I need you to understand that it's that much more effort on my end to go through with this. And I need you to see and appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't. What was his costume supposed to be?
Barbie's love interest from the movie. He doesn't say what the character was, but
or it's Charming, right? Prince Charming, something. Princess Charm School, since it was her favorite.
It's always Ken. It's just a different version of Ken, right?
I feel like in my book, I feel like he was a 2. Like, you definitely shouldn't have done this. You know that. Like, you shouldn't have done what you did. Just communicate what you feel and do that. But she also sucks. Like, you shouldn't run to your family when you get in a fight with your husband, and you definitely shouldn't make this fight into something where you're just both like this is like a mountain out of a molehill type thing, right? Isn't that the...
Yeah, I think so.
You got to back me up when I make a saying.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think you got your hands. That's slow clap worthy. Slow clap worthy.
Yeah.
God, she puts a costume on and starts getting sayings right. I think we may be onto something here.
If you're making decisions, like, maybe figure out why you feel emasculated by a costume, I guess. I don't know.
Sergeant Mac, all you had to do is add an ascot. But even then, she would have been pissed because it wasn't on brand for the party. So it all goes back to that communication. And if he had communicated this, they would have found some kind of compromise. Yeah. Unless, like the devil's advocates,
he said,
Charlie Diego says, like, what is this something she does to him often? Could be.
I feel like if this is something that was happening often, the way this guy did this, he would not hesitate to let us know that this was something that happened all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like he just didn't want to do it. He wanted to dress up like Batman.
Which could be a breaking point for him. So it could be like a long series of feeling emasculated that just ended up in this territory. But I'm telling you, if you start communicating, if you feel that there's a problem and you're going to act against or choose your pain, right? You know it's going to be pain when you show up in a costume that's not what it's supposed to be, not what you agreed to do, not what your wife is expecting. You know there's going to be pain then. How much more pain do you think it's going to be to have an awkward conversation?
Wait.
That's going to take 5 minutes.
Somebody said it's not even a bad costume, just a black suit with a pink tie.
It's the pink tie.
So what? Like, you couldn't have just been, what's his name? What's Batman's real name?
Bruce Wayne?
Gosh, dang it. That just slipped my mind. I just kept saying Clark Kent. Like, he's just Bruce Wayne. And then at the end of the night, you rip off your suit and you're Batman.
There you go.
Yeah. And you have to say,